Hello, everyone. Today in Tech AI Solution Podcast, we have a David Worrell from Fuse CFO. So he's very successful in his industry. Let's talk about him and ask him about his journey. So tell us, David, what do you do and how you came up with this company?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. About 15 years ago, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and 15 or 20 years ago, I realized that the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is getting reliable, accurate information to make decisions on, and business owners make important decisions every day about the future of their business. Right? Am I going to spend money on marketing? Am I going to hire a salesperson? Am I going to hire a new operations manager? And you need accurate and real numbers to make those decisions from. And so I started Fuse CFO as a way to help business owners get accurate and complete information from their accounting systems, right? That's where most of this stuff starts is, are your books balanced, and do they accurately reflect the money that you're making and the money that you're spending, so that when you say, yes, I'm profitable, or no, I'm not profitable, you can say that with confidence, and then you can take action based on real numbers. So over 15 years, Fuse grew to, we're now about a 20-person boutique business providing bookkeeping and accounting and CFO level services, advisory work for businesses between one and maybe $50 million at the very top. Our bullseye is really the $5 to $10 million company that
Mhm.
just wants to start professionalizing their accounting and their decision making.
So let's say if in order to understand this completely, how you can help, like let's say I have a company who's doing around 7 million a year and I'm like mid-size of a manufacturing company. So how you could help me in improving the finance of my company?
Sure. Manufacturing is a huge one, right? There's a lot of moving parts in manufacturing. You've got inventory, you've got bills of material, you've got to track that expense when you buy a raw material. You got to track it from the moment you pay for it to when you receive it to when it goes into production and gets created into something else. And then maybe it sits around in your warehouse for a while before you sell it. So accounting and finance and understanding your numbers plays a huge role in the manufacturing process and helps you make decisions like, how much are you going to sell it for, right? What's the correct price? And how much inventory can you afford to have on hand without constraining your cash to make payroll at the end of the month?
Mm.
So cash
Right.
becomes very important in a manufacturing environment, as does how much inventory you're keeping on hand, how long the inventory sits in finished goods until it rotates off, how you price it. And so let's take today. We've got a great pricing environment right now going on with lots of inflation, right? You've
Yeah.
got gas prices are going through the roof and grocery prices are going up. And so when you think about pricing a manufactured product, are you using the economic reality of the day that you bought the raw materials, or the economic reality of today, or the economic reality 6 months from now when you sell the finished product? All of that has to be considered when you model out things like your pricing and delivery and payment terms and all of those things. Good financial numbers impacts every decision that a manufacturer makes.
And you also help in people like companies finding out where exactly they're losing money and where they can save it right in the right manner.
Yeah, of course.
Mm.
And, you might think that it's easy to look at an income statement or a
Mhm.
profit and loss statement and say, oh, well, I'm spending too much on software. And if I
Yeah.
just cut back on my software, I'll save, or I'm spending too much on marketing and sales. But, you know, you have to look at the return on investment of each of those line items, each of those expense line items, so that you're not cutting out something that's actually contributing to the top line, right? We
Yeah.
call that killing the golden goose, or
Mhm.
shooting the cash cow, however you want to
Mm.
think about that. So we do a lot of deeper analysis and say, hey, let's look at what you spent on. Here's a great example. I had a man who sold t-shirts. He prints something on a t-shirt, he sells it online. He was spending $30,000 a month on advertising, and he thought
Mhm.
he was doing well because he was getting $60,000 a month of new orders from that spend. In his
Mhm.
mind, that was $2 of new revenue for every $1 of advertising.
Yeah.
But when you look more closely, he was only making 30% margins on the business. And so I told him, hey, unless you can find advertising that's $3 to one, you're losing money on every sale.
Yeah.
He completely cut out his marketing, his
Mhm.
Facebook advertising, click per ad marketing.
Yeah.
and immediately became more profitable because he relied on different sales channels and different advertising
Yeah,
strategies that were actually profitable for him.
definitely. I think people reaching out to you definitely help them in the long run. So let's talk about the industry as a whole right now. So what is the biggest shift you have seen in this industry for the last couple of years? AI is the one thing I would say we will discuss in this more depth, but let's see your perspective on this.
Yeah, of course, we could talk about AI forever, but let me start with some other kind of background things that actually were impacting us even before AI started. Number one, there's not enough accountants in the world. There's not enough students going into accounting as a major. The accounting profession is full of, forgive me, but old white guys like me who are
Mhm.
retiring
Yeah.
and falling off, and then we're not being replaced as fast as we are leaving the profession. It's
Yeah.
not a sexy profession. It's people don't look at it and say, "Boy, I'm going to get rich being an accountant." And so we have a staffing problem. Number two, I think we have a different kind of staffing problem because a lot of the people who work in accounting, for whatever reason, they tend to be like stay at home moms and mid career or mid family folks who have different values and different balances in their life. And the upcoming generation in particular is placing more and more value on free time and family time and work life balance. And so, in accounting, sometimes, especially if you're on the tax side, now I was not on the tax side, I don't do taxes
Hmm.
for this reason, because when
Yeah.
you're on the tax side, you don't have a life between January and April. You
Yeah.
are like this, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, you're doing accounting
Yes.
work. So I think there's just an attitude shift that makes staffing hard. I think we have a technology problem that's not AI, and that is that
Hmm.
the technology has gotten so good,
Yeah.
small business owners think they can do accounting themselves. This is the saddest thing about QuickBooks and software like QuickBooks is that it's great, right? When it
Hmm.
works well, it works really well,
Yeah.
but they try to make it look so easy that everyone thinks they are now a bookkeeper. Maybe people listening will think, oh, yeah, I can build my own website because now I have tools like Wix or Squarespace. Or, geez, I can do my own advertising because Google Ads makes it really easy to just, fill out a form. And
Hmm.
QuickBooks has done the same thing to accounting, except that it hides all the complexity. And when you dig in, you find out that you've been doing your accounting all wrong. And of course, garbage in, garbage out. If you're doing the accounting wrong, you're not getting good information to make good decisions from in your business. And almost every customer that has ever come to me for help, I've had to go back and I've said, I'm sorry, but we need 3 weeks just to clean up the mess that
Okay.
you and your former bookkeepers have made out of QuickBooks. So
Hmm.
there's an interesting technology thing. And then, of course, AI, I think, the more kind of in the same vein, the more we allow AI to just do our accounting, the riskier it is that we don't get the kinds of answers we really need. And AI is at an interesting intersection right now. Of course, it may eventually do everything perfectly and we never have to talk about accounting again.
Hmm.
But right now, at least, I think it's worth saying, I'm not sure I want to trust my books to a bot and for at whatever level of help they can do. And AI is helping in accounting.
Exactly.
Whatever level of help that is certainly needs another human eyes on it to double check it. Accounting is all about double checking everything. So AI is no different in that regard. We've got to reconcile.
Exactly. You quickly mentioned about the QuickBooks and how the AI and bot can help people nowadays in order to identify and help in their finance as well. But do you think with the advent of this AI, as you just mentioned, that do you think that the CFOs are in much need right now as compared to the past? Since we have passed on some of the dependency to the AI, but there we always need someone in between in order to keep it in a check whether this bot is doing something right in the books or not, or it's doing something that we don't not know. So, do you think this has increased the value of CFO or finance officers, or like it's kept the same? How do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's a real challenge for everyone in the finance world. Depending on how big of a company we're talking about, but at that $5 or $10 million company, you might have a strategic finance guy like a CFO. You
Hmm.
hopefully also have what I call a good accountant, right? A controller level person who understands accounting theory and who's checking over the books every month. That person Their job is very secure in my eyes. We need those people who really understand accounting, looking at our books, except that now they also have to be experts at AI
Yeah.
because those are probably the same people who are using the AI systems to complement their work and augment their work. And it's the people at the very bottom, the AR clerks and the AP clerks who used to be,
Mhm.
$50, $20 an hour people. Those people are looking at a rough job situation right now. If you're at the bottom of the accounting ladder, I think it's going to be hard to find a job because AI will take those pure data entry, rote, repeatable processes completely out, and it'll focus all the value at that controller accountant level. And that controller and accountant might know accounting well, but now they need to know AI well too.
Yeah, you mentioned very right that the people at the bottom level of this finance industry, they need to upskill in order to be in the industry, right? So their
Yeah.
need of the AR clerk or the AP clerks, those are less in this today's time. So they need to upskill. So how do you think, maybe this is going off the topic, but how do you think this, the universities or the colleges are coping up with this need? If we don't need this in the right at that moment, we don't need it in the future as well. So how are they coping up with? What do you think about the education perspective on this?
Man, that's a hard one. Yeah, that's probably out of my league to answer. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah.
Upskilling has always been an issue with accounting, and I don't know that anybody's doing it really well. Somehow accounting is like art, either you're a great artist or you're just kind of gonna muddle through. I don't know that you can. Some people you can educate them all day long and they just don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true.
But I
Yeah.
don't know how the colleges are adapting. I
Yeah.
couldn't speak to
That's good. I also think that's not the point of discussion that we are making here now.
that. Okay.
So let's talk about the year past experience, right? So, what is the best thing that has happened in your experience, and what is the one thing that you would like to improve? For example, in this Fuse CFA, what is the one thing that you would like to improve in that?
The best thing that's ever happened in the in the small boutique accounting world is firm management software. So I have a favorite one I'll plug called Double is the name of the software which runs the company. It's like an ERP for a small accounting business, and it integrates with QuickBooks and it does communications with clients and it holds documents. There are several of these, but they're getting so much better. And in any professional services firm, one of the really important things is, as a manager, knowing how utilized my people are. So whether you're building software or doing consulting or accounting, you've got billable hours on your people and
Yeah.
keeping track of their utilization rate. Are they too busy? Are they not busy enough? Are they earning their keep? That's really important. And the tools that are coming out to help you do that, I think, are really terrific. So, the operational software, I'm all about that. On the challenge side, gosh, I think accounting in particular just never gets enough attention from small businesses. I'm involved with a lot of business incubators and startups, and everybody loves talking about sales and marketing and operations. And they just very rarely get around to talking about finance as a competitive advantage, as a strategic imperative, and as a pillar of building your business. I used to call it the fifth estate because it's sales, marketing, operations, HR, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we need to write all this down and call it an accounting system. What
Okay.
people don't realize is if you make it first by building financial models and having good systems, you capture all that information that then informs all these other things, operations and HR and sales and marketing should all be informed by good finance and accounting results, analysis, model building, projections, cash flow. All that stuff should inform your decisions in these other areas. And right now it's backwards.
Okay. So, how do you actually help these incubators and like volunteer work? How exactly you help them?
Sure. So I volunteer as a mentor in these incubators primarily. And that means that, for example, where I live in Asheville, North Carolina, the Chamber of Commerce sponsors a mentorship program. We invite in early stage companies, anywhere from pre revenue to maybe $2 million in revenue. And we match those founders with
Mhm.
professional, a little bit older folks with more experience, and some of them are in marketing and sales and operations. I happen to be in finance. And so I
Okay.
sit on a board of mentors or a board of advisors for these little companies. And
Right.
often I end up, helping them set up their accounting systems or helping them create a spreadsheet which models their business or forecasts their cash flow.
Yeah, that's very good work that David you're doing for the community, right? So,
Yeah.
when did you like just exited from the Fuse CFO last year? When did you exit it? Last year?
Yeah, just 1 year ago, exactly. Yes.
And by the time you left, is how you have implemented the AI in the Fuse CFO? Like, are you guys using any kind of AI implementation in the Fuse CFO?
Yeah. So my philosophy on that, and it may have changed since I sold the business to the new guy. He's very tech forward, a little bit younger than I am, and trying to take this in. But my philosophy was I don't want to build any AI tools. I don't want things that only work for me. What I want is QuickBooks to have an AI layer in it so that I just continue to use QuickBooks, but it gets easier, right? It gets more intelligent and more circular in its feedback. I can ask for data as well as putting data in. And so QuickBooks has a layer of AI on it
Mhm.
now, slowly. Intuit's a big company and it's coming along slowly. Those other software tools I was talking about earlier, like
Yeah.
Double and the other agency management tools, they all have AIs built into them. Some of them are even doing, like they say, they're automating the entire monthly close process. So in
Okay.
accounting, you have to close your books at least monthly, and they're helping to automate that kind of reconciliation and all that AR and AP clerk work that we talked about is getting wrapped up
Yeah.
and handled by that layer of AI that's in the bigger tools.
Do you think those are the tools that you just mentioned that is doing completely like end to end for the company? Those are the direct competitor of the Fuse CFO right now?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Like, do you mention some of the tools that exactly doing the kind of a work that you do, right? So do
Yeah.
you think those are the like direct competition of Fuse CFO and they are taking market share out of CFO?
No, no, no. I think it's like everything else, Sartaj. It's AI is a tool just like a calculator or a computer or a pen and pencil. You've got to use it to be up to date with your job,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily taking jobs. I look at it much more as creating opportunities to do
Okay.
more for your customer, creating opportunities for you as the CFO or even just the accountant to go beyond that very rote, repeatable data entry so here's the thing. A $5 million company would come to me and they would say, we want to spend $2,000 a month on our accounting services and not a penny more. And I'd say, well, okay, I can spend that money on the AR and the AP clerks and, all these middle people who are doing data entry.
Mhm.
Now I don't have to do that. I can still provide that same value if I automate that, but I can take that $2,000 budget and start building reports and forecasts and models and consulting and sitting with the client to speak. So it's really raising the level of the value creation and raising the level of the services that service businesses are able to give to their customers. I think it's going to be amazing.
Okay, thanks for this answer. So now the last question. So let's talk about how do you think this industry gonna look like in upcoming 2 years, let's say.
2 years?
Yeah.
The time frame's important, right? Because if you
Yeah,
said 10
that's too
years,
much important with this. Yeah.
I would have a totally different answer in 10 years. 2 years, yeah, I think that those ARAP clerks will be mostly gone.
Mhm.
I think that there will be brand new tools we can't even imagine right now. And probably more and more companies will do it themselves. They will bring it in house, kind of the same way they do. People are using AI agents as personal assistants. You no longer need to hire that person to coordinate your calendar or help you with email or arrange your travel plans. Now you have an AI agent for that. And I think that people will business owners will have accounting AI agents who
Yeah.
do a lot
Okay.
of the task work. And they'll be calling on people like me or like Fuse CFO to simply swoop in and do some high level thinking and planning and answer some strategic questions and give advice. That's the thing.
That's a definitely good answer, David, because I also think that agentic CFO would be the future of this industry right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And they
we,
exist already, of course, and
yeah,
depending on how far you want to look and how much leeway you want to give it.
yeah. Thanks. That's all, David. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
You bet. What a pleasure.
Thank you, David. So this is the wrap of the podcast. I will send you the edited part of it, and we will see how it goes. And you can post it anywhere you want.
Nice. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Sartaj. It was great to meet you.
Yeah.